Thank you guys for joining me today. Unafraid, right or wrong. We're coming to you. It is Monday. Happy Monday. I know everybody's not always excited about Monday, but I am excited about Monday. I'm going to kill the week. Hope you guys are going to kill the week as well. What we got on deck for you guys today is a couple things. Number one, my biggest college football and NFL takeaways of the weekend. And then the next thing up is Baker Mayfield's apology. His apology, I hated his apology. I can't even tell you how much I despised his apology to Ohio State for planting the Oklahoma flag in the middle of the field at the 50-yard line. Can't tell you how much I hated that. And then the last thing up is college football schedules. I got into this a little bit last week, but this week features something new. It was the time of the games that was the problem this week. It wasn't the actual games. It was the timing of the games as opposed to, just at the fact that the schedules were bad, in addition to everything else. So the first thing that we're going to talk about, though, is the college football schedule. It is asinine to me that after a terrible slate of early morning games, that you end up with Auburn, Clemson, Ohio State, Oklahoma, Stanford and USC, Georgia and Notre Dame, all at the same time. It makes no sense to me. How in the hell do you end up with all those games being played at the same time after that weak slate of games in the beginning of the day? So the NFL, NBA, even hockey wouldn't do this. Major League Baseball. I get that you have competing networks. You have CBS versus NBC, ESPN, ABC, all vying for your viewing attention at the same time. But doesn't that take away from the game itself? Doesn't that take away from the game itself? Just the fact that you can't fully enjoy a game when you have to flip through 4 different stations. It was awful. I mean, and then to make it even worse, all 4 of them were good games. The end of the Notre Dame game was good. Georgia, it came down to the last possession. Ohio State was very riveting at the same time. I mean, then you had USC Stanford, very competitive game. Auburn Clemson 14-6 game. But they're all on at the same time. It makes no sense. Because there is a way to work out a better schedule for college football fans. And if you guys are like me, you despise what's going on in college football right now. Because these schedules are awful. And if you didn't like last week, you're going to be even more upset this week. And I already know I am, so I'm going to plan some things this weekend. Wife is going to ask me some things to do on a honey-do list as usual. And I'm going to be willing to do them on Saturdays. The kids are going to ask for something, and I'm not going to mind because of this college football schedule. This week, you have 2 ranked games all weekend. 2. You have Tennessee versus Florida and Clemson at Louisville. Those are the only two games that feature ranked teams. You mean to tell me that that's the best that you could do? I mean, and mind you, there's only one other really intriguing non-conference game, and that's Texas and USC. I give both of those schools credit for trying. Give both of those schools credit for trying. But Pitt and OK State, okay, I'll give you that. Michigan Air Force, Oregon, Wyoming. But come on, man. I'm a college football fan. This is disgusting. They have to do something better. Auburn can't be playing Mercer and Oklahoma can't be playing Tulane. This is awful. But speaking of the Oklahoma game, you had Baker Mayfield after Oklahoma beat Ohio State. He goes twirling around the flag, around the stadium, and then runs to the 50-yard line and plants it in the logo. So there's a lot of angles to approach this, right? First of which is there was an awful job at planting the flag. Because as soon as he planted it, he let it go and it failed. So it looks stupid anyway. So that's the first thing. The second thing about planting the flag and his apology was that Baker Mayfield, he planted the flag. Then in the postgame, he said what he really meant. He said that he did it because he felt that his team was disrespected last year when Ohio State sang the fight song and all that. So he felt his team was disrespected. And then a day later, he comes back and apologizes. The exact apology that this man had the nerve to say was that he wanted to, Ohio State's a great school and he was caught up in the moment and he didn't really want to offend anybody and this and that. That is so weak. That is so weak. I mean, I can't even tell you how weak that is. Because I get that I get that we are in a day and age where we're supposed to apologize for everything that we do. And everybody wants us to say sorry when our feelings get hurt. But in sports especially, why the hell should you apologize for doing something like this? You didn't hurt anybody. Yes, you were caught up in the moment. Yes, some people got upset. But guess what? If you don't want me to celebrate, don't let me do good things. I am playing a game with passion and energy and all my heart. And so are you. I beat you. You then can't try to control my celebration. I mean, where the hell do we get off trying to control Baker Mayfield's celebration in college football? Oh, well, he shouldn't have apologized when he disrespected Ohio State. I mean, it makes no sense. I get that his apology included, he made the school look bad and OSU is a good program and so is Oklahoma. We're going to be classy people. All of this. No, man. It's just in football. If you don't want me to touchdown dance, do better. Don't let me score touchdowns. In baseball, if you want me to run around the bases after I hit a home run as fast as you can, don't let me hit a home run. You cannot try to control somebody's celebration after they do something good against you. That's the softest move of all time. That is the softest, reaction by people of all time. Oh, Baker, he disrespected people. It's a damn game. It's a damn game. They were having fun. He got caught up in the moment. He did a really, really good thing in beating Ohio State, set himself up to potentially win a national championship. Yeah, let the kid celebrate. If you don't want him to spike the flag on there, then guess what? You should have beat him. But on the other end of that, if I were an Ohio State player, I got to come out the locker room. I got to see you, Baker. I got to see you. Because you ain't going to be just planting the flag on our field, even though an awful job of planting the flag that you did because it fell down as soon as you stuck it down, which means you didn't fully think it through. I still got to see about you. But the idea that we apologize as people for things that we actually meant to do is awful. It's awful. The proper thing for Baker Mayfield to do in this situation would have been to come with the obligatory, I'm sorry you were offended stance. Not the, I'm sorry for what I did. No, he needs to come with the, I'm sorry I offended you. Yes, people would still be upset about that, but at least he would be being honest and genuine and real. Because if he had to do it all over again, he would probably plant the flag again. So that means he meant to do it. So why on earth would you apologize for it if you're Baker Mayfield? I'm not doing it. I'm planting the flag on Ohio State's field because that's what I wanted to do. And then you're mad about it. So what? I knew you were going to be mad before you did it. Does anybody out there think that this apology was cool? No, it was weak. It was weak by Baker Mayfield, and it was weak for people calling for an apology. How long are we going to be sensitive about everything? How long are we going to... It's a sporting event. He spiked the flag. That actually only truth be told, if you're a college football fan, you should be happy he did this. In the day and age that we don't get a whole lot of non-conference matchups that we need and we want and we crave, you should be happy Baker Mayfield did that. Baker Mayfield is a saint for doing that. He increased the rivalry between Oklahoma and Ohio State, which is good for fans. They just played a home and home. Now after this fiasco, the last 2 years, guess what? We might get another one. And I like that. I am in on better non-conference matchups because I hated what happened this last weekend. You had a few games. They're all at the same time. The networks did an awful job. The schedulers did a bad job. There's enough college football, good college football teams going around that you could have 8 to 9 good quality games every weekend, but it doesn't happen and it's garbage. And until you, the fans, us, the fans, demand change from the college football playoff, demand change from the networks, demand change just in general, make a big enough fuss about it, you will keep getting the same thing, we will keep getting the same thing, and we will keep being upset. The next thing up, though, is my takeaways from the NFL for this weekend. The number one takeaway that I had from the NFL this weekend is going to be a little bit unpopular because people are in love with Tom Brady right now. Aaron Rodgers is and has been the best quarterback in the NFL for quite some time. Why is that? Everybody keeps posting me, oh, Tom has 5 rings. Don't nobody care about them rings right now. I'm talking about in terms of talented quarterbacks. People who can do things with their arm. Aaron Rodgers is better than Tom Brady. He's more accurate. Throws for more yards, more touchdowns. His team wins even when they are understaffed and underserved. Last year, his team didn't even have a running back. He turned Montgomery into a running back. If Aaron Rodgers had Bill Belichick and the front office that the Patriots have, oh my God, he'd have 5, 6 Super Bowls already. But the problem is not that Mike McCarthy's a bad coach, but Green Bay doesn't exactly have the same infrastructure as the Patriots do. They have the Patriot way, the way they sign players, release players, all that. That's what the Patriots do better than anybody else in the NFL. And if Aaron Rodgers had that support, no one would be saying that Tom Brady is the greatest of all time. Because they would be looking at Aaron Rodgers and saying, no, this kid's better. He's more mobile, passes the ball better. I mean, I don't know how you can possibly see anything other than this. When you look at the history of Aaron Rodgers' career, he has single-digit interceptions in most of his seasons, over 30 touchdowns. Single-digit interceptions. He pieces together teams with cobblestone and stick and spit and still wins every year. So please explain to me how you could possibly think that Tom Brady's better. Just because of rings? Robert Ory's got 6 rings. He's not better than Michael Jordan. He's not better than Kobe. Not better than Shaq. When we start to debate and say who's the best quarterback in the game and all that, yes, I will give Tom Brady credit. He is getting a little bit older, so maybe his skills are diminishing a little bit. And people are crediting him with the Super Bowl. Yes, they won the Super Bowl, but the Super Bowl was way more about Atlanta's collapse than it was Tom Brady doing something ridiculously special. See what I'm saying? But the other takeaways I had from this weekend were the Raiders are good like we thought that they were good. I'm going to go through them. This is like a lightning round almost. The Raiders are good. And they beat a Titans team that a lot of people are predicting to win the AFC South because they have Mariota. Yes, I said Mariota, not Mariota. The Raiders are a good team. They just are. The Titans still have a lot of holes, especially on defense. But with their young quarterback and what they're building, they're going somewhere. They're just not going to the Super Bowl this year. The next thing up is the Colts. I find it fascinating that Jim Irsay, who's the owner, and the coach Chuck Pagano, that they've shown that they can't make a good roster. They've shown that they are more interested in politics and all that than actually building a winning football team. Because why on earth don't you have a good backup when you know Andrew Luck is hurt? Can you please explain that to me? Why don't you have a good backup? You know Andrew Luck is hurt. You know that there's an indefinite amount of time before he comes back. But instead of actually preparing, what do? You roll out Scott Tolzien. You just roll out Scott Tolzien. What kind of sense does that make? Are you even trying? You got T.Y. Hilton. You have other weapons on offense. But then you're just going to roll out there and lose? A prime example of somebody who was, I know that they traded for the kid from New England, but they did that the week before the season. That didn't make any sense. Prime example is Minnesota, the Minnesota Vikings. What did they do a year ago when Teddy Bridgewater got hurt? They knew he was going to be out for some time. They went and traded for Bradford. Mind you, Bradford's not a Super Bowl caliber quarterback, but he's a team who's not going to squander your window, so you look attractive to free agents. You're unsure about the future. Yes, make a move. Make a move. Sign a backup, at least some type of real buffer that you can win a few games until Luck gets back. Because Luck hasn't even started practicing. So at no point in time are the Colts going to be any good. And that goes to the team that the Colts played, the LA Rams. I know Goff had his first 300-yard passing game. I know they won like 46 to 9, 46 to 9 or whatever the hell it was, but the Rams still aren't good. They aren't. Haven't shown an ability to run the football well. They're a team that is still far away from being good. Next up, the Jaguars. The Jaguars, they beat the Texans. I was surprised by this because I expected a Katrina-like boost from the Texans. Kind of like when Katrina happened, the New Orleans Saints played on Monday night that year to open up the season. They played against the Atlanta Falcons, and they beat them down. Steve Gleason blocked the punt. They went on to win the Super Bowl. It was an amazing season for the people of Louisiana. I expected that kind of energy and effort from the Texans. That didn't happen. It just didn't. And I was surprised. Then I started digging into it because they let Tom Savage start instead of Deshaun Watson. And it got me to thinking. I was like, why didn't they play inspired? Why wasn't this happening? And I blame it on David Carr. The reason why the Texans, not Derek Carr in Oakland, his brother who was drafted #1 overall by the Houston Texans, and people would consider a bust, but I mean, in all actuality, it wasn't his fault. And that's why the Texans didn't play inspired. It's because they didn't want to put Deshaun Watson out there at starting quarterback to begin the season because they didn't want him to suffer the same fate as David Carr did. They didn't want him to get beat up. They didn't want to ruin their first-round draft pick again. That's why. Texans, this is not the same kid. You got a different O-line. You got a different team. You put David Carr out there in a no-win situation as a quarterback of a startup franchise. Not happening. Next thing up. Cam Newton, he needs a minute. I like Cam Newton, the person. I've never been a huge fan of Cam Newton, the football player, in the NFL. College, different. He was really good. His MVP season was phenomenal. But aside from that, Cam Newton's completion percentage is in the 50s. Doesn't throw a lot of touchdowns. I just see him as an average overall quarterback. He's going to have some really good seasons, which are nice. But truth be told, he's Eli Manning. not an elite quarterback. Because Eli Manning is the most overrated quarterback of all time. He is. He's got 2 Super Bowl rings. He's got a good last name. And that keeps there from being quarterback controversies in New York. But the reality is that the dude can't play at a high level. He is A-OK. He's not elite. He's not special. He completed 2 ridiculously amazing plays. One, David Tyree caught against his helmet, which was unbelievable and miraculous. And the other one was the throw to Manningham. But that's what it is. That's it for Right or Wrong today. Thank you guys for joining me. Please like the feed, share the feed, continue the conversation, and we will be back at it tomorrow.